Although the majority amended the law to allow for competition over the construction of a new theatre, President Ilir Meta has again refused to decree it, saying there is no guarantee of an equal race. The Chamber of Commerce and Industry presented a proposal which suggests introducing a new tax to be applied on luxury coastal properties. New registrations at public universities are proving extremely low, with now 41 study programs at risk of closure across the country. Students are focusing more on two-year programs that offer employment experience. Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Thursday, the 11th of October 2018. Welcome to the English edition of Aura News. My name is Alexandra and I'm here to bring you the day's top stories from across the country translated into English. President Ilir Meta has refused for the second time the majority by returning for revision the law for the construction of the new theatre. Although the majority introduced some changes to the law, the presidency argued that none of them actually managed to resolve the constitutional and legal issues identified in the first decree. Although the Parliament has tried to fulfil only one of the constitutional findings of the President of the Republic of Albania, dealing with the preferential and unequal treatment of a private subject, again with the new law adopted, the Parliament results that it has not reached to solve this issue, said Ilir Meta. President Ilir Meta also argued that the law is again with constitutional problems, and basically the provisions contain discriminatory criteria that do not guarantee free competition. These findings make this law fall in controversy again with the application of the constitutional principles of equality before the law and freedom of economic activity of citizens violating the rule of law itself, said Ilir Meta. During the time when the President published arguments against the new building law, the Parliament was in a plenary session. Minister of Culture Mirella Kumbaro refused to comment on the decision of the head of the state. But it was the chair of the Socialist Party group, Talon Bala, who used a statement by President Meta to emphasise that the decree would be subject to parliamentary procedure. We are serious in relations with the institution of the President of the Republic, and we will consider with equal seriousness, calmness and love the proposal coming from the President, said Talon Bala. At a time when European Union officials are calling for policies to find consensus to fulfil the priorities that will turn on the green light for opening negotiations, the Democrats and Socialists refuse to find common ground for electoral reform. Former chairs of the Central Election Commission, Ilirian Tselibashi and Kristach Kume, think that the country risks going to elections with the old code without any improvement because of party interests. When the country's policy fails to reach consensus, all seek international intervention. According to Kristach Kume, electronic voting should have been on the Socialist Party's draft, as it was discussed at joint tables that it would be piloted in several cities. As for Ilirian Tselibashi, electronic voting is not a reason for the Democratic Party to block the Reform Commission, as it will not have a major impact on these elections. The Chief of the Economy Committee asked the Minister of Finance to enforce the law and Albanian Football Association to pay the fiscal obligations resembling any other institution. Brace stated during a questioning hearing with Finance and Economy Minister Arben Ahmetaj that in every country of the world there are penalties for violations, and it should be no different in this case. The session was accompanied by many tensions. Since February, we have not received a clear answer on the compliance with the law on the activity of the Albanian Football Federation from a financial perspective, said Erion Brace. Minister Ahmetaj accepted that sports clubs need formalisation and to publicise employee salaries, but did not give a concrete response. I'm showing you 3 important clubs in the country that have given football dignity and need further formalisation, said Arben Ahmetaj. However, Erion Brace insisted that they are equal before fiscal law and have the obligation to pay taxes. Why should we accept the alibi of a man who does not give up his chair because of the benefits that are administered year on year to the Albanian Football Federation? I did not ask how much football clubs, football teams or football players are operating in this country. I asked all the way back in February, in the clearest way possible, how much is the tax paid by the AFA? And secondly, how much is the 10% that belongs to the state budget from the television rights that has been traded by the AFA for the last 10 years? These were my 2 questions, and I have not gotten an answer. According to the fiscal laws, they are equal and have the obligation to pay taxes. Why should they have fiscal immunity? We go and knock on every shop, kebab store and cafe, but do nothing when these great businesses do not pay. Those who administer millions of lek and go out and boast from breakfast to dinner, said Erion Brace. The most satisfied with this attack on the Albanian Football Association seems to have been the Socialist Party MP Bashkim Fino, who has applauded the statement of the head of the Commission of Economy. A proposal for a luxury tax to be placed on coastal properties has been introduced. In addition to other tax reduction requirements, the head of the Chamber of Commerce has stated that there should be a luxury tax for all residences over 200 square metres and worth over 300,000 euros along the Albanian coast. The proposed fee is 500 lek per square metre per year. Meanwhile, it was also proposed to raise the VAT threshold up to 10 million lek. Businesses once again objected to the imposition of a 3% builder's tax, the profit of which would be used for social housing. Instead, they suggested that all enterprises pay 1% of profits. The Tirana Chamber of Commerce and Industry has also demanded that individual tax rates for incomes be set at a tax-free threshold of 35,000 lek per month, rising to 10% for wages between 35 and 335,000 lek per month. For earnings above 335,000 lek per month, individuals will be taxed at a rate of 20%. Life is a separation and meeting station, full of efforts, attacks and memories, was one of the quotes from the famous Albanian poet who has died. He was one of the best Albanian poets. The dictatorship criticised his work, but he did not toe the line and left behind an excellent literary fund. As a student and researcher of his poems, Professor Umar Chiraku remembers Fatos Arapi for indisputable literary values. He was one of the most prominent figures of Albanian literature. I believe that he will remain a reference point for a high artistic point of view. He is the author of some novels as well as a researcher, especially of Albanian folklore. The works, especially his poetry, will continue to remain prominent for long, said Professor Umar Chiraku. Eternity loved with literature, Fatos Arapi is the author of several volumes of poetry. He also wrote novels and is the author of several translations. The poet also served throughout his life as a teacher and lecturer in some of the country's schools and universities. The passing away of the poet caused this response from President Ilir Meta. I convey condolences to all the friends, collaborators, colleagues and readers of the unforgettable Fatos Arapi. Online media and portals must be registered at the National Business Centre. This ultimatum was given by Prime Minister Edi Rama, who set deadlines for the directors of the portals on Monday. This decision, communicated through social networks, also affected those portals that have not been created for the purpose of garnering profits, but will have to pay the same fees as those who do. For some of the directors, this decision violates freedom of expression. But the same transparency is required by the government for television channels or any other media. Erebaras says his blog will continue to be accessible to followers after Monday, and if it is closed, he will pursue a legal appeal. This move launches the anti-slander package proposed by the majority a few days ago. Twelve study programs will be closed for this new academic year at Alexander Giovanni University in Elbasan. Among them are mathematics, physics, biochemistry and a variety of foreign language programs. A further 6 programs are at risk of closure, among which are language literature, history, geography, journalism and psychology. 4 programs such as mathematics, physics, chemistry and Italian, which have low registration numbers, also risk closing at the University of Vlora Ismail Chamali. I would like to say that these mainstreams are not factors related to the inner aspects of the university, said Roland Zisi, director of the University Ismail Chamali. The University of Gjirokastra is also experiencing registration decreases. They are offering 805 positions, but only about 290 students are actually enrolled after the completion of the second round of offers. This university now also risks closing 6 study programs. University leaders state the reason for the low number of enrollments in teaching is likely due to setting the entrance requirement with a grade point average of 7. We have concerns about the branch of teaching, which currently has a low number of registrations. Perhaps one of the factors that have affected applications could be the entry requirement of a 7 average, said Yani Dine. This year, new registrations at district universities are focused on 2-year professional programs, where candidates also benefit from employment experience. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join me again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.